Hey everybody, this is Dave Ropp from Break My Legs, and today I'm going to go over my personal pain and suffering from my limb lengthening surgery. At the hospital, my second day post-op, the heavy drugs were starting to wear off, and I began to feel some pain in my legs at the point of the breaks in my femur bones. But it wasn't until the third day when I had to get up off the hospital bed and onto a walker and into a wheelchair that I understood what I was up against. When I put my weight on my feet, I felt a lightning bolt of pain shoot up my body and I let out a scream. I begged the nurses, "Can I go home tomorrow?" But they weren't having it. Every time I had to get up or tried to get up for the next week, I felt absolute terror, and I avoided using the walker as much as possible. I had to use a bedpan as trips to the bathroom were impossible. The beginning of the second week, we had to drive back to my doctor's office to pick up the lengthening device and for him to check my surgical wounds. The round trip from my house to Los Angeles is 800 miles, and we would do the round trip in 24 hours. At this point in my recovery, sitting in one position for too long is very uncomfortable. I would put the seats down and lay on top of some blankets, but even so, we had to stop every hour so I could try to stretch and change positions. This was just the first round trip of 8 I had to make in the last 10 months. And I wasn't able to drive myself back and forth into the last 2 trips after 6 months. The next 3 months were very rough. I was experiencing a lot of bone pain along the break in my femur soon after I started lengthening. It wasn't that bad during the day, but at night it was unbearable. My legs would just ache, and I'd change positions, and 5 minutes later, I'd have to move them again. The Vicodin the doctor gave me didn't do much for my pain, unfortunately. What did help was I used TENS units, one on each leg. The electric pulses that shot through my legs helped quite a bit to lower my discomfort. It was impossible to get comfortable enough to sleep in any position except sitting up in bed. I would fall asleep for 30 minutes, then be awake for an hour, and so on. On a good night, I would get 5 hours sleep. On a bad night, maybe 2 hours. Lack of sleep wasn't my only problem. I lacked appetite during the whole distraction phase. The smell of food made me nauseous. I lost over 20 pounds during the 3.5 months. About 1 month post-surgery, I started going for physical therapy. I started out going twice a week because my leg muscles were very stiff and I had poor range of motion. The physical therapist would have me lie on the examination table and pull and stretch on my legs in different ways that would loosen up my muscles. I would then go home and do the stretching exercises he had assigned religiously 3 times a day, and I started to slowly see improvement. But after lengthening for 3 weeks, I had a setback. When I got to the 2 centimeter point, I experienced severe nerve pain. It was an electric shock in my right leg below my knee. Sometimes at night when I was in bed, the nerve would flare up, and I would have to get up into a sitting position. This change of position would stop the nerve signal. I called my doctor in Los Angeles, and he prescribed gabapentin, which helped. Even with all the bone and nerve pain, I continued distraction until I reached my goal of 8 centimeters. The last centimeter of lengthening from 7 to 8 was the hardest. I would wake up in the morning and my right leg was bent. I couldn't straighten it. I would get up and walk around on the walker for 30 minutes or so, and it would straighten out. I felt physically miserable at this time, but I pushed on to the whole 8 centimeters. The bone pain was gone after I finished lengthening. At the 4 to 5 month mark, the muscle pain was tolerable, and I cut back on my physical therapy sessions to once a week. At 5 months, I stopped using the walker completely, and at this time, my nerve pain flare-ups had stopped. I still have numbness on the inside of my right shin bone, but I only notice it when I rub it with my hand. The numbness is probably permanent, but I can live with that. My appetite returned at around 6 months, and I have since gained back the 20 pounds I had lost. I started making up for the sleep I had lost by sleeping 10 hours a night. I have since leveled off. Today I feel really good and really strong. Last Saturday I went on a 4-mile hike without breaking a sweat. To sum up, even at the darkest moment of my limb lengthening experience, I never regretted having the surgery, nor did I ever consider lengthening less than 8 centimeters. Thank you for watching my video, and please be kind and click like and subscribe. I should have another video coming out soon.